Welcome back to the Life of Buddha series. In episode 14, we heard about the final stage before Buddha's enlightenment. After a period of extreme asceticism, Siddhārtha realized that it was not the right path. He decided to abandon asceticism and choose the middle path. A girl named Punna saved him from starvation with a bowl of milk porridge. After recovering his health, Siddhārtha meditated under the Bodhi tree. Mara appeared and challenged his ownership of the cushion. Siddhārtha defeated the evil one by pointing to the ground, causing the earth to shake as a testimony to his practice. The evil one and his army fled in fear. Siddhārtha then continued to meditate, introspecting and preparing for the important night of enlightenment. Episode 15, The Night of Enlightenment. Buddha's Enlightenment. Under the Bodhi tree. Night. The Naranjara River sparkles in the moonlight. The wind rustles through the silent forest. The gentle scent of flowers and grass wafts through the air. Siddhārtha Gautama, having defeated the internal and external demons, sits quietly, observing his breathing with a mind and consciousness that is completely awake and pure. Now, the entire body and mind had become pure, illuminated by a shimmering awareness. He saw no inside, no outside, no self-possession. He only saw the wind coming in and out, becoming lighter and lighter. Then gradually that wind suddenly became clear, bright like the full moon just emerging from the fog. Siddhārtha Gautama entered the first, second, third, and fourth dhyanas one by one easily, without any effort. With the power of a completely firm and steadfast concentration, Siddhārtha Gautama went down to the up-close practice, using his mind's attention and thoughts to direct his mind to his past lives. Just a moment later, he saw clearly his past lives one by one. From one life, 2 lives, 10 lives, 20 lives, 100 lives, 1,000 lives, 100,000 lives, a life of the earth, many great lives of the earth without limit. He saw each life clearly, with a clear image, with such a figure, such a family, such a name, such a retribution, such suffering and happiness, such karma coming here, such karma leaving here. Thanks to deep concentration, and also thanks to his inner mind having ended all latent fetters, Siddhārtha Gautama did not feel any shock when he saw that he had taken on the form of many animal lives, such as dogs, horses, elephants, birds, rats. He also became a yaksha, a sura, longevity spirit, deva, Brahma, for many more lives. But most of all, he was a human being, a merchant, a millionaire, a farmer, a woodcutter, a professor, a king, a high-ranking official, a national teacher, and countless lifetimes of practicing, leaving home, practicing the paramitas. In those countless lifetimes, he could not find his true self. All of them were drawn and created by the flow of karma. Birth and death were repeated, incarnations were repeated, sorrow, grief, pain, and anxiety were repeated. All of them were like appearing from smoke and disappearing from smoke and disappearing, seemingly without root or source. But there was only one flow, the flow of life and karma that was continuous from beginningless to endless. Although continuous, they were not eternal. They transformed, changed continuously, were constantly renewed. Nothing was lost and nothing was permanent. Siddhārtha Gautama left meditation just after the first watch of the night. He had attained the knowledge of past lives, Pabinavasana Satinyana, when the moon had just risen from the east to the top of the asata tree. Smiling a wonderful smile like a half-opened flower bud in his mind, without wasting a single moment, Siddhārtha Gautama again focused his mind and entered the 4th jhana of the form realm, firmly abiding in concentration. Returning to the practice of access, using thought and reflection, directing his mind to the birth and death of living beings. Then, like a film reel of cause and effect clearly appearing in his mind, he saw the coming and going, the lowliness and nobility, the beauty and ugliness, the suffering and happiness of all living beings from the past, present, and future. If one acts evil with the body, speaks evil with the mouth, or acts evil with the mind, one falls into the 4 realms of suffering. On the contrary, if one acts good with the body, speaks good with the mouth, or acts good with the mind, one is born in the human or heavenly realms corresponding to that action. Continuing to go deeper and further, following the karma of living beings, Siddhārtha Gautama also saw the mind direction of each living being, with the future retribution until the countless births and deaths of the earth. Thus, All the causes and retributions that created the rebirth of all living beings were seen by him as clearly as the lines on the palm of his hand. Thus, at the end of the second watch, when the moon was just setting around the Asatha tree, Siddhārtha Gautama attained the supreme wisdom of the divine eye, Dibaka Kunyana. Returning to the four jhanas, cultivating deep rapture, entering into concentration, returning to the practice of access, using insight to contemplate himself, he clearly saw that there was no longer any defilement related to the five sense objects, kamasavaklasa, no longer any defilement related to the attachments to self, mine, others, and beings, tasavaklasa, no longer any defilement related to sensual existence, material existence, and formless existence. No longer any defilement related to delusion and ignorance, avijjasavaklasa. Arousing right thinking, Siddhārtha Gautama thought to himself, all those latent, subtle defilements are unknown to anyone, whether intelligent humans or powerful devas and brahmas. Even the supreme ascetics who have attained the 8 jhanas and the 5 supernatural powers like Katadavila cannot bear it. The 2 famous masters of enlightenment and their attachments only serve to prolong the endless cycle of birth and death. Then, with his pure, radiant, crystal-clear wisdom, Siddhārtha Gautama clearly saw the root of all suffering and affliction as ignorance and craving. It creates the entire world of birth and death. Because of ignorance, delusion, and error, living beings create white karma, black karma, karma that is neither white nor black. Due to the causes of those karma, and also due to the power of those karma, a consciousness is reborn to seek a compatible realm. It relies on the father's sperm and mother's blood to form a fetus, where there is life and its own unique karma. Happiness and suffering, nobility and lowliness, rich and poor, wisdom and stupidity, longevity and short life, including genetics, personality, habits, culture, beliefs, are all carried by that seed, inseparable, indestructible to form a new being, a new life. The names, minds, and forms with full karma seeds will form the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Then, over time, in the relationship with the external world, they will appear feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and cognitions. Whatever is pleasing and enjoyable, we grasp and hold on to. Whatever is unpleasant and unsatisfactory, we hate, reject, and deny. Greed and anger arise to create karmic existence in the 3 realms and 6 paths. Then birth, then aging, then death, then sorrow, lamentation, pain, anxiety, and despair. Like a cycle that is determined to never end. That vicious cycle of reincarnation is connected together by the links in a great iron chain. In the middle of the 3rd watch, Siddhārtha Gautama saw them clearly. To end the cycle of birth and death, suffering and affliction, we must know how to untie the links. The link of ignorance, delusion, and error is the most important. If we are clear-sighted, alert, awake, and have clear wisdom, then there will be no karma, no creation of causes to reap the results later. When the consciousness-seeking rebirth is gone, the desire to become will not have a chance to sprout. And if there is no attachment or infatuation with feelings, how can attachments exist? Without attachment, existence, rebirth, old age, sorrow, lamentation, pain, and despair will dissolve like dewdrops hanging on the sun's head. When he saw clearly the entire operation of dependent origination, Siddhārtha Gautama's mind and wisdom were as clear as a flawless Mani jewel. He dwelt in a deep stillness with joy and happiness that filled his mind and the entire space. Just as one who eats is full, just as one who drinks water knows hot or cold, Siddhārtha Gautama realized something that no one in the world has ever experienced. The birth and death of each moment of dependent origination without self explains the entire mass of suffering, its cause, and the path to extinguish all illusions and hallucinations of sentient beings. When illusions and hallucinations are gone, the wandering thoughts will automatically end. The attachment to the aggregates and existences will suddenly dissolve like flower spots, not truly existent, when there is wisdom eye, intelligence, and clear wisdom to illuminate. All erroneous desires, those that are contrary to the laws of the natural world, the mind world, and the Dharma world, will no longer have illusions to cling to and be infatuated with. Everything is restored to its original state before it left its homeland, untainted by red dust, black mud, and purple sand, bright moon, blooming flowers, singing birds, mist, falling leaves, flowing streams, awareness, listening, feeling. All of them appear as they really are. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is lost. Nothing is permanent. That is immortality. The eternal value and ultimate meaning of this life must be established on that complete and correct understanding. And that is right view. With that correct understanding comes right thinking. Right thinking. With right thinking comes right speech. Right speech. With right speech comes right action. Right karma. With right action comes right livelihood. Right livelihood. With right livelihood comes right enthusiasm, effort, and diligence. Right effort. With right effort, right diligence comes right attention, right mindfulness. Only by paying attention and recording correctly can one attain peace, calmness, concentration, and stillness, unmoved by all the storms of internal and external demons. Right concentration. That is the path. It is the path to completely eradicate suffering and afflictions. It is the key point, the secret to liberating all the karmas, all the flows, all the hindrances, all the obstacles, all the fetters that have been dormant in the abyss of the unconscious since countless lifetimes. It is the invincible Dharma. It is something that has not existed in this life in the past, present, or future. Thus, Siddhārtha Gautama's insight was beyond birth and death, had transcended birth and death. There was no longer any net that could surround or confine his wisdom. It was bright and clear. He smiled like a half-open lotus bud. A halo suddenly radiated from his forehead, both brilliant and warm like the rays of the sun, and gentle and cool like the light of the moon. So in the last watch, the moon was about to set. The morning star had just risen. In the month of Vesakha, under the Asatha tree, by the Niranjara river, near the village of Uruvela, Siddhārtha Gautama attained the fruit of great arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. At that time he was exactly 35 years old. At that instant, the 10,000 worlds shook violently, and the earth, 40 yojanas thick, shook back and forth like an earthquake. That moment passed into eternity. The gods and Brahmas sang joyfully, rejoicing that a fully enlightened one had appeared in the world. In the void, heavenly flowers flew and music played to pay homage to this sacred and important moment. If anyone had divine ears, they would hear the words echoing from the middle of the sky. Sadhu, sadhu, Buddha Upano, sadhu, sadhu, Buddha Upano. Good, the Buddha has appeared in the world. And it is also miraculous that extraordinary phenomena beyond all laws of the mind and nature, never before seen in the world, miraculously arise at the same time. These are, although it is out of season, all the flowers bloom and spread their colors and fragrance. Every fruit, whether bitter, sour, or astringent, suddenly becomes delicious, sweet, and fragrant. The blind, born blind, were happy because their eyes suddenly became bright, seeing everything around them clearly. People who are deaf from birth suddenly hear every sound. Paralyzed people can now walk easily, especially in Lokantarika hell, a realm created by the karma of beings with deep wrong views, where even 7 suns will never shine. That day, the Buddha's halo from the Asatha tree penetrated the layers of darkness to shine into the deep, cold, gloomy hell. These beings suddenly saw each other. The Buddha Gautama, as we now call him, is shining his light to see his own mind, but at the same time he is also seeing and knowing the entire world. How compassionate and pitiful are ignorant beings. They have created physical prisons and locked themselves in them, then cried, then grieved, then suffered, and were distressed. I have also wandered for millions of lifetimes to find the face of that Creator. It is ignorance and craving. It is they that have created the aggregates, piling up layer upon layer. To put it more clearly and in more detail, the craftsman, the architect of birth and death who built the prison is craving, raga. The lightning bolt is ignorance. The entire frame of the house is made up of defilements and afflictions, such as greed, lobha, anger, dosa, ignorance, moha, conceit, wrong views, michadithi, doubt, jealousy, isa, remorse, kukucha, greed, macharya, sloth and torpor, thina, drowsiness, midda, heedlessness, udaka, lack of shame for sins, ahirika, lack of fear for sins, anotapa, and then there is slander, stubbornness, mukathamba, fear, baya, ingratitude, betrayal. When there is full concentration and clear insight, they completely disintegrate, become empty, and have no self-nature. Suddenly, the Buddha Gautama uttered a deep, transcendent, inner inspiration that can resonate far and wide to the ends of the limitless, boundless worlds. wandering through the endless wheel of life and death again. The builder of this prison life is nowhere to be seen. Blinded by the weight of pain, through suffering we roam. The endless cycle carries on, a path far from our home. O carpenter, your beams are gone, the rafters all laid bare. The storm of love has split in two, no longer trapped in snare. Ignorance once paved the way, creating endless strife, but now the Tathagata's free from emptiness in life. Nirvana shines unsoiled and pure, its peace will never cease, for in its light defilements fade and bring eternal ease. The great path has been found, the path to immortality has been revealed. The Buddha Gautama left his meditation and left the asatha tree, now called the Bodhi tree, or the tree of enlightenment, Bodhiruka, when the sky in the east was just beginning to brighten. Filled with the state of liberation, he walked back and forth enjoying the transcendental happiness. The morning breeze blew gently, cool and refreshing, carrying with it many fragrant scents of the wild grass and forest. He felt completely, deeply and subtly even the high and low sounds, near and far, of birds, of crickets, of each leaf gently falling. A mist spread over the surface of the river. Flowers of all colors in tiny clusters suddenly swayed, shimmering on the water. It seemed that everything around him displayed silent, mysterious joys. Everything was mysterious under a strange new light. There was something new, covering the landscape with a floating, light, pure coat. There was no suffering, there was no trouble, but feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness all flow peacefully, happily, pure, and uncontaminated. Life now flows in that pure, clean, and uncontaminated flow. Throughout his troubled adolescence, when he reached the age of marriage, he found all joys and pleasures to be fleeting and empty. For many years, trying to find a way to help the king and save his country, Buddha Gautama always felt like he was doing the work of a wild animal because he could not decipher the abyss of the human heart. With a steadfast will, he left his family, wife, children, and throne, determined to find a way out of suffering, to explain the eternal value and meaning of life. After 6 long years, tasting bile, lying on thorns, enduring the ultimate austerities with extraordinary efforts, now the path to immortality has opened wide, has been cleared. No one has been as great as him, no one has been as brave as him, and no one has been as lonely as him. Even in his most difficult moments, he had no one by his side, fortunately thanks to the miraculous drops of milk from little Pun. It can be said that he made his own efforts without relying on anyone or having any teacher on the path to discovering the truth. 1. However, he did not create the path, but only found the old path, which had been obscured by the mist of countless years. He was just a human being, born and raised as a human being, with flesh and blood, 5 senses, emotions, and spirit as a human being. But thanks to his profound thinking, he knew how to keep his emotions in moderation, knew how to question and learn, knew how to doubt, and knew how to be honest. He did not easily accept the available truths, the gilded paths. He dared to fight alone with temptation, with tradition, with ego, until he stood on the summit of life and death to sing the song of victory. So he was truly a fully enlightened one due to his true and comprehensive understanding. He also had the ability to propagate the Dharma, so people honored him as the omniscient one, the extraordinary person, Acharya Manusa, the master of the Dharma, Dhammasami, Dharma king, the giver of the immortal Dharma, Amattasadatta, the giver of treasures, Varado, the treasures are the purest compassion, the deepest wisdom, and the most wonderful truth. He is also called Tathagata, one who has come thus, Araham, worthy of reverence, respect, and offerings, Vijakarana Sampano, unsurpassed wisdom, unsurpassed virtue, Sugata, skillful one who has escaped from samsara, Lokavidu, one who understands the 3 worlds, Anuttaro Purisadama Sarathi, unsurpassed man who is able to control and subdue his body, speech, and mind and that of living beings, Sattvadevamanusana, teacher of gods and humans, Bhagava, worthy of praise, honor, Buddha, the awakened, clear-sighted, and awake one. Thus a sun and moon appeared in the world, majestic, brilliant, wisdom and compassion, still shining day and night until the end of 5,000 years, together with sentient beings with intelligence. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you have just listened to the video about the life of Buddha Shakyamuni. adapted from the work A Life, a Sun and Moon by Master Gioi Duc. This video series will be broadcast at 7 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTube channel Buddhist Story. We sincerely thank you for watching. To not miss the next episodes, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If you find the content useful, please share this video with your relatives and friends. All your comments are very valuable to us. Please leave comments below the video so we can discuss and share together. Thank you, and see you again in the next episodes of the video series, The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni.